Greetings, metal community. It's Rugya back with another video. This is kind of, I think I picked out 25 albums, death metal albums that are damn good. Didn't get them into my top 20 list. It was a lot of great stuff this year, and the best year probably ever when it comes to death metal, at least. So I just thought to honor these great releases, I would do a kind of runners-up or stuff that there was not room for in the top 20. One album that I let out that I regret is what's playing in the background is Necrochaos with the Mortal Angel's Descent. This album is just absolute killer. It's not brutal death metal, it's death metal with brutality. It's perfectly heavy, juicy production on it, deep, juicy vocals, and the riffing here is just killer. They go from like blasting to heavy headbanging riffs, and just a fantastic album. One of my most played this year actually, but it has kind of, due to this cover and the logo, it's kind of drowned in all the other stuff. But I pulled it out in Christmas, and man, what an album. I'm gonna do the CDs first, and then the vinyl. I have not ranked them in any particular way because every one of these are killer. So Carcass, Torn Arteries, great Carcass album. I haven't considered putting this on top 20 because I haven't listened enough to it. And that's the same with every, big, well-known bands. You know what you get, and therefore you play it. It sounds great, and you put it away, and you pick it out again, a couple months later, and kick yourself for not listening to it. Excellent album by Carcass. They do never fail. So I even like Swan Song. So another great album that the reason why this didn't come into the Wharflurch, with Psychedelic Realms of Hell, is just because a couple of these interludes that I have does not click with me at all. It messes up the flow of the album for me. I know a lot of you don't care about that stuff, but I'm, old grumpy man, so I need to have some certain flow in my albums. But the music, excellent. Death metal, every death metal person in the world knows Wharflurch by now, because I think most of people that are into death metal have shown Wharflurch this year. Over to some Death Doom. Majestic, Downfall, Aorta. Great Death Doom band, been going for quite some years now, and it's just, if you want Death Doom, just go and listen to Majestic, Downfall. They are great at what they're doing. Nothing spectacular, it's just great stuff. We can continue in the slow department. This is Fuoco Fatuo with Obsidian Katabasis. This originally, and I had this on my top 10 for several months because I love the album. It's a great album, but I put it on in Christmas, and maybe my hate for Christmas destroyed my mood a little bit. And that's, I think, the first time ever that I have turned off a Funeral Doom album, because this is a very dark, intricate Funeral Doom band, but they're brilliant at what they do. It's just that my top 20 albums need to have, it's albums that you can play any day. So that kind of threw it out of the top 20 just because of that. Mortiferum, Preserved in Torment. Great album. still think the previous album a little bit better. Haven't listened enough to this yet. Don't like the snare drum. It bugs me a little bit, especially on the first song. But I have ordered the vinyl, and hopefully the vinyl will sound even better. And but a great album. They know what they're doing with this heavy, dirty death metal. Great album. Then we have a very late arrival, and kind of glad that I postponed this video, because got this in the mail the other day. Pantheists, Closer to God. I don't want to... Death Doom. What an album. It's just... I mean, if I had received this earlier, this would be in my top 20. I mean, it's just absolutely perfectly made. The first song is very long, and when that's over, kind of the three next songs are, the album just stops too soon. It's not very long for a, you know, for being a Pantheist album. They normally do longer albums, but perfectly long time on it, and just the production is great sounding, and he has also always kind of have a little bit out of tune clean vocals, but on this album the vocals are, yeah, heavenly nice, and yeah, just a killer album. It arrived late, but if I had this earlier on, this is kind of a album that will be, if I do a recap of this list in March, this is for sure going to be in the top 20. I listened to this 5 or 6 times today, and I'm just loving it. And the last song is a kind of a ballad, very calm song, slow, very double duets, clean vocals, just a amazing piece of a song. Yeah, it's called "Of Stardust We Are Made." Absolutely love this Pantheist album. That was the CD stuff. Going on to the vinyl, I just have to say that there's a lot of stuff that's missing here, because I have pre-ordered them, and some stuff in those orders are delayed as usual. So, you know, Worm, Dream Unending, Hooded Menace, Cadaveric Fumes, and bands like that, I haven't got them yet, so they won't be on this list. But they are, you know, contender for top 20, every one of them. So one of the darkest albums this year, apart from the Fatuo, is Krigskur from Denmark, I think. Poison Palinopsia. And if you can see, I've showed this album before, but this is the lyrics, and you know, this is disturbingly dark and evil. It's you have to listen to it several times to pick up on it, because there's a lot of stuff going on here. But it's just so dark and fucking heavy album, brutal. It's death metal, and not brutal death metal, but have, you know, great brutality. And yeah. The only thing with this album, again, something that will you know, shove it off the top 20, is that the drum sound is too low in the production. The production is a little bit uneven, and that's destroying this album a little bit, but it's also making it a more of a challenge to discover all the goodies within the album. But Krigskur, great album. Then we are going to Snet with Mikani Kojec or something, Slovenia or Czechia or something down there in that area. I don't want to offend anybody, but great album, old school death metal, dirty, great album, pretty sick cover. And of course you can say Autopsy vibes and stuff like that, but yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have heard it. I've seen it on a couple of lists, and great album. And we have from Sweden, Death Swarm. Have kind of it's kind of a Morgothy asphyxiated, with Swedish sound, if that makes any sense. Great album, solid. It's kind of not. Again, it's an album that's just straightforward death in one way, but it's done very good. So really enjoyed this album as well, and this is also one that you listen to and like and put away, and when you go back to make this list and listen to it again, and you just, why haven't you listened to it more? Probably because there's been so much distractions this year. Ghastly, one of Finland's best death metal bands. I think, yeah, they're from Finland. Great album again. Have more of this latter Morbus Crone, horrendous type of death metal. Great album. Really enjoy this if you want something more not as brutal. Great album. I had to pull this out as well. This is also an album I kind of forgot about. Memoriam to the End. Great album. Their best this far. I mean, Onwards to the Battle is a pure bolt thrower song, but this band, with Carl Willits, you should think would be like more of a total bolt thrower band, but they have a great variation in their music, and but there's a couple of bolt thrower songs here just to make everybody happy. Great cover, love this artwork, nice colors, and I think it's Mr. Seagrave. Yeah, great album again. Why do I say all great? Of course they are great. Otherwise I wouldn't have put it on here. Was a little bit uncertain if I should show this Autocrator. It's a fabulous album. But the last song here is Scrap. So kind of touch and go if I should enter this on the list. But the rest of the stuff, the 5 first songs here are quality, brutal death metal, and yeah, French band. Still like their album from, was it 18? Better than this one, but great album. He said it again. So Simon down at Explosive Action had this one pretty high on his list. Universally Estranged with reared up in Spectral Predation. Yeah, one-man project. Kind of this more in the vein of the space-themed kind of Gate Creeper, Blood Incantation, stuff like that in a way. But yeah, he has done, and it's Obi Strip, like Blood Harvest, great label. Then one of my favorite Polish bands, all-time Polish band, is Hate. This is kind of black and death metal, but I always consider them more death metal than black metal. And yeah, they deliver. It's not like top notch, but it's so damn solid. It's more like Carcass and everybody else, that you know what you get, and they do it with quality, and that's all I ask for these bands. They have never disappointed me, and hope they continue for many years, because Hate is a top band. Seen this on a couple of lists, and Crypta was very impressed by this album, but I had lowered my expectations quite a bit, because there was so a big hype of this band, all female band, it's wow, fantastic, and Napalm Records have promoted the hell out of this album, so it kind of turned me off. I think the From the Ashes song, the last song on the album, luckily. I mean, that was played in every kind of short studio report, or you know, the video was played all around. So I was kind of a bit reluctant to buy this, but I'm glad I did, because this is quality death metal, and they know how to shred, and great drumming by Luana D'Ameto. You know, the vocalist was previously in Nevrosa. Glad she left that band and started to do more death metal, because she has a really cool voice. I wish she had used the growls more, but also that kind of chuck screamish death vocals she does pretty well. So a damn good death metal album. Very surprised by it. Then we are going over to some Swedish veterans. Killer album yet again. Aeon. God Ends Here. And look at that beautiful cover as well. Just brutal. Again, death metal with brutality, but these are kind of closer to the brutal death metal. You know, evil, full of, you know, hate for religion and all that crap. And they portray it very well in both the music and the vocals. Extremely tight production, and as always, and yeah, just a killer album. And we are still in Scandinavia, and Baest, or Beast as you say, but we pronounce it Baest. With Necro Sapiens. Another one of these bands that don't do anything special, but they do it so damn well. This is just solid, heavy, well produced, well written, headbanging death metal. I mean, you can't go wrong with this album. Great stuff. So if you haven't heard this, but I've seen this on quite a few lists, and Baest is one of the best. Then we're going to one of the older bands here, Cannibal Corpse. I love this album. One of the best in many years. I think maybe since probably Wretched Spawn for my part. Eric Rutan has kind of revitalized them and given them more energy, I think, and change up a little bit on the songwriting. And sometimes it's just tiny adjustments that, you know, can drag them out. Because I feel that kind of Cannibal Corpse have flattened out a little bit and kind of going on the same role with the 3 previous albums. But this was a good step up and a great album. I'll play this way too little, as I do with these very familiar bands, but yeah. And another old band, Drawn and Quartered, with Congregation Pestilence, evil death metal, kind of in the same vein as, I mean, they've been around for a long time, so incantation, immolation stuff, but they have kind of a very evil feel to them, and kind of my more satanic death metal in a way. Heavy, juicy, brutal, great album. They are kind of taking a good couple of good steps up in quality on their 2 last releases. So this was kind of a nice surprise this year, to say the least. Cerebral Rot, everybody knows them. Excretion of Mortality. Great album, as I've said to probably almost every album I've shown this video, but love it. I think most of the people in the, you know, the metal community or vinyl community has listened to that album. Then kind of 2 of the albums that I've listened to a lot, but kind of, yeah, Frozen Soul. I love this album. I love the artwork. Bolt Thrower worship through and through. Great album, but it kind of gets to a point, and then it doesn't. Yeah, I don't feel like go listen to this very often, but every time I do, I mean, it sounds great, and you nod your head because it's well done, but it's kind of in a way too familiar in a way. But I hope they continue with this because we certainly need a Bolt Thrower band in the world. So I don't want them to change this. I just want them to keep creating good songs as they have on this album. And then another that should have been on my top 20 list, Gosudar, Morbid, Despotic Ritual, Russian death metal supremacy. Great, heavy, well-produced album. Well-produced for this type of death metal. And that's, when I say well-produced, it's not like clinical or anything, it's just for this type of music. Not everybody managed to do that. So yeah, I'm sure you have checked this out already. That was my, I think, 25 albums that easily could have been on top 20 for the most part. And yeah, just wanted to give a short recap of the stuff that I've been buying this year that have kind of set well with me, because when you watch a lot of collection updates, you lose track of all the albums you see. I have the same when I watch the videos around discover albums that I forgot about, so that's why I did this, and just to promote great music once more. So as always, thanks for watching, and vi kjøs!